When men ask how they might make a woman fall in love with them, they often search for tricks, quick gestures, or words rehearsed, like lines in a play. But let me tell you, my friend, the heart does not open by deception, nor does affection last when it is bought with shallow charms. What endures is not the spark of flattery, but the steady flame of character. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and I did not set out to write love manuals. We did not promise ways to bend hearts at will. Instead, we studied the art of living. And here lies the secret. The man who governs himself, who cultivates virtue, becomes naturally worthy of love. He need not chase it, for love is drawn to him as rivers are drawn to the sea. Love, in its pure form, is not conquest, but harmony. To seek it through manipulation is to grasp at shadows. To invite it through wisdom is to build on stone. A woman, like any human soul, desires above all to feel safe in the presence of another. To see a spirit of steadiness, honesty, and reverence for what is good. This cannot be faked. It is the fruit of daily practice, of the choices you make when no one is watching. Consider how many men live in contradiction. They speak noble words, yet their lives are ruled by appetite. They pursue attention, yet cannot endure solitude. They decorate themselves with luxuries, but neglect the virtues of patience, humility, and courage. And then they wonder why the affection they crave slips through their fingers like sand. The truth is simple. Women fall in love with the man who has first fallen in love with wisdom, not because he seeks her admiration, but because he seeks to live rightly. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. V1. If you embody this, you will never need to convince someone to love you. The quality of your being will speak louder than any words. What then are the ways to inspire such love? Not spells, nor strategies, but the steady practice of virtue, discipline over your desires, integrity in your actions, patience in your temper, simplicity in your speech, gratitude in your heart. These are not tricks, but truths, and they shine brighter than any rehearsed compliment or fleeting gesture. To be loved, you must be trustworthy. To be trustworthy, you must master yourself. If your own soul trembles at every gust of fortune, how can you offer shelter to another? If you are enslaved by anger, lust, or vanity, what woman will entrust her peace to you? Love is not given to the man who clamors for it, but to the man who embodies it. In this spirit, I will share with you 10 ways, grounded in Stoic thought, by which you may not only win the affection of women, but also grow into a man who is steady, honorable, and truly alive. These are not instructions for seduction, but invitations to transformation. So let us begin not with tricks of the tongue, but with truths of the soul. For if you build yourself on virtue, you will not merely attract love, you will deserve it. And what is not easily lost. It is a mistake, my friend, to look outward before you have first looked inward. A man who has not mastered himself cannot hope to guide the affections of another. Think of the one who stumbles in the dark, unable to find his own footing, yet reaches out to lead another by the hand. What happens? Both will fall. And so it is in love. You must first stand firm within yourself before you can offer steadiness to another soul. To master yourself is not to extinguish your desires or suffocate your passions, but to govern them wisely. Consider the man enslaved by anger. His words burn and cut like fire. For a brief moment he feels powerful, but soon he is left in the ashes of regret, and those closest to him retreat in fear. Who would entrust her heart to such a man? Or consider the one who is ruled by lust. He pursues women as a merchant chases coins, valuing not the person before him, but the thrill of possession. His affection is shallow, and so it quickly dissolves. Women see through this. They know when they are treated as a prize rather than as a partner. But the man who has practiced mastery of himself, who does not lash out in rage, who does not cling in desperation, who does not collapse under temptation. This man inspires trust. And love without trust is but a mask that cracks at the first touch of hardship. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is a slave to himself. True freedom is not found in doing whatever one wishes, but in rising above the whims of appetite. When you can say no to your own impulses, you become strong enough to say yes to what is good and enduring. And when a woman sees that you are not dragged like a captive by every passing desire but stand tall as one who governs himself, she will feel drawn to the quiet power you carry." Mastery also means you are not frantic in the pursuit of affection. The man who begs for love, who clings to it as if it were air itself, suffocates the very thing he desires. Love cannot breathe in the grip of desperation. But the man who is whole within himself, who knows solitude not as loneliness, but as strength, approaches love not as a beggar, but as one who has something to offer. And that offering is peace. Many women long not for riches or constant flattery, but for the presence of a man who does not lose himself when life turns heavy. To master yourself is to build such presence. Once self-mastery is laid as a foundation, the next stone to be placed is integrity. Words without deeds are empty, and promises without actions are brittle. How often do men adorn themselves with noble talk, but collapse at the first test of truth? A woman may be charmed by fine speeches for a moment, but if the man who utters them proves false, her admiration curdles into distrust. Nothing poisons love so quickly as deceit. Integrity means that your life is one whole, not broken into fragments. The same man in public is the man in private. The same voice that speaks of honesty does not later whisper lies. The same hand that offers tenderness does not strike in cruelty. This consistency is rare, for many live in contradiction. They wish to be admired more than they wish to be good, and so they construct an image rather than a character. But women with their deep intuition sense when a man is acting and when he is living truth. Marcus Aurelius gave us a simple rule: if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. To live by this is to become solid, edental, like a rock upon which another can lean. A woman falls in love not with the man who dazzles briefly, but with the man who can be trusted in both silence and storm. Integrity requires discipline, for it is easier to promise than to fulfill, easier to speak than to act. Yet the reward of living in truth is great. You do not need to remember your lies, and you do not live in fear of being discovered. Your soul is light, and that light shines outward. The man of integrity becomes attractive not because he seeks attention, but because his very being draws respect. He does not flatter himself with hollow achievements, nor does he pursue recognition at any cost. He does what is right simply because it is right, and this quiet strength becomes visible even without words. Women look not only at what a man says, but also at how he treats those who cannot repay him, how he speaks when no one of importance is listening, how he conducts himself when he could so easily cheat the system and escape unnoticed. If he remains upright in these moments, he is the man who inspires lasting love. From integrity grows another virtue, often neglected: the art of listening. Many men mistake talking for leading, believing that to win affection, they must fill every silence with words, impressing with stories, opinions, and clever murmurs. But love does not deepen when one voice drowns the other. It grows when one soul feels heard, understood, and honored. To listen is not merely to wait for your turn to speak, but to enter the world of another, to set aside your own judgments, long enough to hear the beating of a different heart. How many times have women complained that men do not truly hear them, that their concerns are brushed aside, their words met with quick solutions rather than patient understanding? The Stoic knows that listening is an act of virtute, for it requires humility. You must silence the noise of your own thoughts and surrender to the present moment. To listen deeply is to show respect, and respect is the foundation of love. When you listen with attention, you are saying without words, your soul matters. Your thoughts are worthy. You are not invisible. This does more to inspire affection than all the rehearsed lines men so often memorize. For flattery may win a smile, but genuine listening wins the heart. Consider how rare it is to find someone who does not rush to judgment, who does not interrupt, who does not turn the conversation back to himself. Be that rare man, and you will find that women do not merely enjoy your company. They cherish. Seneca wrote often of friendship, and his words apply equally to love. The friend is another self. To treat a woman as an equal soul, to listen to her as you would wish to be listened to is to honor her humanity. When you hear not only her words but also the silence between them, the emotions beneath them, she will feel safe to open her heart, and love is born where safety and trust dwell. Therefore, to inspire love, you must begin with yourself. For without self-mastery, your desires become chains. You must live with integrity, for without truth, your words are empty, and you must listen deeply. Without attention, no heart can feel valued. These three alone, practiced sincerely, will distinguish you from the multitude who chase love with empty hands. But remember, the purpose is not to win affection, as one wins a trophy, but to become the kind of man in whose presence love naturally arises. For love, like virtue, cannot be forced. It must be invited, and the invitation is sent not with clever tricks, but with the steady life of a soul shaped by wisdom. There is a certain strength in stillness that no boastful display of power can equal. The man who storms about, restless in desire and quick in temper, may seem bold, but he is weak within. His emotions control him as a rider, who has lost the reins, is carried by a wild horse. Yet the man who cultivates calm, who holds his composure when others collapse into frenzy, carries a rare and quiet power. Women do not wish for a companion who is tossed by every wave, but for one who can be an anchor in the storm. Think of the sea on a clear day, its waters smooth, reflecting the sky above. It invites peace, and those who look upon it feel calm themselves. But when the sea is violent, thrashing with weaves, no ship dares to draw near. So too is the soul of a man. If it is troubled, chaotic, prone to sudden bursts of anger or despair, love hesitates to approach. But when the soul is tranquil, steady, and governed by reason, it becomes a safe harbor. Seneca said, "He is most powerful who has himself in his own power." This power is not loud but profound, for the one who governs himself gives confidence to others. A woman feels most drawn to a man who does not lose himself when adversity arises. It is not gifts, nor flattering words, but the presence of inner calm that assures her she can lean upon him. When misfortune comes, he does not curse the heavens or crumble into despair. He accepts what he cannot control, and he works upon what lies within his power. Such a man is unshaken by gossip, undistracted by envy, uncorrupted by greed, and when he sits in silence, his peace is felt as strongly as another man's noise. To walk beside such calm is to feel protected, cherished, and at ease. But do not mistake calmness for coldness. It is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. The Stoic does not deny love, joy, or sorrow. He simply does not become their prisoner. Women sense the difference between a man who feels deeply, yet remains steady, and one who is swept away by every passion. The first inspires admiration and trust. The second, only uncertainty. For love cannot thrive in a storm that never ends. Alongside this calm, there must be respect for freedom. Nothing kills affection faster than chains, whether of jealousy, control, or possessiveness. A man who imagines that love is ownership has already destroyed it. To say, "You are mine," as if a soul could be possessed, like a piece of land, is to misunderstand both love and life. True love cannot be demanded or commanded. It must be chosen freely, renewed each day by will, not by fear. Too many men, insecure in themselves, try to cage what they cannot hold. They monitor, they restrict, they cling with desperate hands. But a woman does not fall in love with her jailer. She falls in love with the man who, though he desires her presence, honors her freedom. He does not bind her with suspicion, nor diminish her spirit with control. He knows that love is strongest when it breathes. If you strangle it, it dies. If you open your hand, it often remains. The Stoics teach us that nothing external truly belongs to us. Not wealth, not health, not even the people we love. All are lent to us for a time by fortune, and all may be taken away. To cling with desperation is to invite constant fear, but to love with freedom is to honor the truth of existence. When a woman feels that her freedom is safe with you, that she can be herself without judgment, she is more likely to give her heart fully. She does not fear losing herself within you, because you do not seek to consume her. Seneca himself cherished friendship above all, and he taught that a true friend is not one who enslaves, but one who liberates. Love, too, is a form of deep friendship. To respect her reason is to respect her as a soul equal to yours. She is not an object to satisfy your emptiness, but a partner in the journey of life. When you see her in this way, your affection is pure, and her love, if it comes, will be richer and more enduring. And how shall you express yourself in such love? With words that are simple, honest, and free of ornament. Too many think that love must be purchased with elaborate speeches, with exaggerated compliments, with promises that dazzle but mean nothing. Yet Seneca himself warned that style must never obscure truth. What use is eloquence if it conceals dishonesty? Better a single word of truth than 1,000 words of deception. A woman does not wish to be flattered endlessly. She wishes to be spoken to sincerely. Tell her what you truly see, not what you think she wishes to hear. Speak as you are, with no knock. If her beauty strikes you, say so, but do not reduce her worth to her appearance. If her wisdom enlightens you, honor it with gratitude. If her courage inspires you, let your words carry the weight of your admiration. But never say what is false, for the heart knows when it is deceived. Simplicity is not weakness. It is strength. The man who needs no decoration, who does not hide behind endless words, shows that he is confident in his truth. His speech does not try to overwhelm, but to reveal. Women grow weary of men who say much, but mean little. But they are moved by men who say little, yet mean much. Consider how Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations. They were not for public display, not polished to win applause, but simple notes to himself. And yet they have inspired millions for centuries. Why? Because their honesty shines. If your words carry honesty, they too will endure in the heart of another. When you speak plainly, she will not wonder if you are sincere, for your very simplicity proves it. And remember, silence itself can be eloquent. You need not always fill the air. A quiet presence, a thoughtful pause, can sometimes speak more than a stream of words. If you are unafraid silence, it shows you are at peace with yourself. And this peace invites closeness. Many men talk too much out of nervousness, as if silence will betray their emptiness. But if you are grounded, you can sit in stillness and let your presence speak. This too is a language, one that many women value more than hurried chatter. Thus, in your calmness, you provide safety. In your respect for freedom, you provide dignity. In your honest speech, you provide truth. Together, these virtues form a bond that no shallow charm can rival. For women, like men, are not seeking perfection, but authenticity, and authenticity is born of a man who has mastered himself, who honors the liberty of others, and who speaks from the heart without disguise. Do not forget that love is not something to be taken by force or won through clever strategies. It is something that flows naturally toward the man who has shaped his life around wisdom. If you cultivate these virtues, you will not need to chase affection. It will be drawn to you as a tree is drawn to sunlight. And if it does not come, you will still remain whole, for your worth is not diminished by the absence of another's admiration. You are sufficient in yourself, and from that sufficiency, love arises as a gift rather than a necessity. Life, as you know, is not gentle for long. Fortune has her moods, and she turns them without warning. One day the sun seems to favor us, and on the next it hides behind storms that darken every horizon. Many men, though they stand proudly while skies are clear, collapse into dust when hardship arrives. They curse their fate, lose their temper, or abandon the very virtues they once claimed to admire. Yet what woman can trust her heart to such a man? For love is not lived only in hours of joy. It must survive nights of sorrow. What proves the worth of a man is not how he speaks of love when wine flows and music plays, but how he carries himself when sickness, poverty, or grief visits his door. If he crumbles, he cannot hold another, but if he remains steady though the winds howl around him, then his soul becomes a refuge. Marcus Aurelius said that you have power only over your mind, never over outside events. This truth must be lived, not just repeated. A man who suffers with dignity shows that he has grasped the essence of Stoic thought, that fortune governs externals, but we govern ourselves. And when a woman says this, her trust in him deepens, for she knows that if he can endure his own pain with strength, he will not abandon her in hers. To be steadfast in hardship is not to be unfeeling. It is not the hardness of stone, but the resilience of a tree whose roots hold firm, even in the storm. You may bend, but you do break. You may acknowledge sorrow, but you do not let it consume you. You may feel anger, but you do not let it command your actions. In this steadfastness, you offer the greatest gift to another, stability. For love cannot breathe where everything is unstable, where each day brings a new collapse. A woman wishes not for perfection, but for a companion who, when the inevitable difficulties come, will not flee. Yet steadiness alone is not enough. If a man bears hardship without gratitude, his heart becomes dry and bitter. Gratitude is the water that keeps the soul alive. Even in times of scarcity, the ungrateful man cannot love well, for he is always dissatisfied, always looking at what is absent rather than cherishing what is present. How often have we seen men who complain endlessly, blind to the blessings around them? They poison their own days and infect those who walk beside them. A woman who lives near such a man feels herself diminished, as though she too is never enough. But the man who practices gratitude transforms even small things into treasures. He does not overlook a kind word, a moment of peace, or a simple meal. He understands that life is fleeting, and each moment is a gift. His gratitude softens his speech, brightens his face, and warms his presence. In such company, a woman feels not only appreciated but elevated, for she senses that she herself is not taken for granted. Seneca once wrote that no one is more unhappy than the man who never faced adversity, for he has not been permitted to prove himself. Gratitude turns even misfortune into a teacher, and when you live this truth, you radiate a contentment that invites love. From gratitude flows humility. The proud man, swollen with his own importance, may gain admiration for a time, but he does not inspire deep love. For pride creates distance. It builds walls around the heart, having others outside. A woman may respect his achievements, but she will not feel safe to bare her soul to him. Humility, however, draws people close. It says, I am human as you are. I too stumble. I too learn. I do not place myself above you, but walk beside you. The Stoic is not concerned with outward rank or the applause of the crowd. He knows that fame and fortune are but passing shadows. What matters is the state of his soul. Humility is born from this understanding. When a man does not need to boast of his deeds, when he does not measure his worth by comparison, when he accepts correction without resentment, he shows a rare strength. Women perceive this immediately, for humility allows authenticity. It allows her to know the man as he truly is, without the masks that pride demands. And love, if it is to last, must rest on truth, not performance. It is easy for men to confuse humility with weakness, but they are opposites. Weakness hides behind arrogance. True strength bows without losing dignity. The humble man is not a slave, he is free. He does not fear that acknowledging his limits will diminish him. On the contrary, it makes him more trustworthy. For if he can admit what he does not know, she can believe him when he speaks of what he does. And in this trust, affection takes root and grows. Still, even humility must be guided, or it risks sinking into false modesty. The Stoic path shows its direction clearly. Pursue virtue above pleasure. This may be the hardest lesson, for pleasure calls loudly and often. It promises joy but leaves emptiness. Many men live chasing pleasures, fine food, constant entertainment, the attention of women. But such pursuits are endless. The more one indulges, the more one craves. And while he chases, his character withers. Seneca warned that pleasure is a poor and petty thing, not because it is evil in itself, but because it enslaves the man who makes it his master. The one who values pleasure above virtue cannot be relied upon, for he will always choose his appetite over his duty. Imagine a man who loves a woman only while she delights him, who abandons her when difficulties arise, because she no longer serves his pleasure. Such love is shallow, and women recognize it quickly. They may endure it for a time, but they will never entrust their deepest selves to it. But when a man places virtue first, when he seeks courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance above fleeting delights, his love is steady. He does not flatter to win attention, nor does he stray when temptations present themselves. His choices are not ruled by pleasure, but by what is right. And in this, a woman finds security, for she knows his affection is not conditional upon her, providing endless amusement. His love is rooted in character, not convenience. The pursuit of virtue over pleasure also shapes how a man loves himself. When he values virtue, he respects his own dignity. He does not degrade himself in pursuits that leave him ashamed. And a man who respects himself naturally commands respect from others. A woman seeing this feels safe to admire and to love him, for she knows his foundation is strong. These qualities, steadfastness, gratitude, humility, and the pursuit of virtue form a tapestry that is difficult to unravel. Together they create not a mask to wear for a season, but a way living that endures through all changes of fortune. A woman may fall in love with fleeting charms, but she remains in love with a soul that embodies such truths. As you walk this path, remember that each virtue reinforces the others. Steadfastness without gratitude becomes cold endurance. Gratitude without humility becomes self-satisfaction. Humility without virtue becomes timidity. But woven together they create a man who is whole, balanced, and profoundly attractive, not because he seeks admiration, but because his very being invites it. And so we draw near the end of this journey. What remains is to gather all these strands, and to remind ourselves of the greater purpose, not to conquer the heart of another, but to cultivate our own. For when we live rightly, love becomes not a prize to win, but a gift freely given. Soon we shall conclude, bringing together all these lessons into a final reflection on how true love and Stoic wisdom walk hand in hand. My friend, we have walked together through these reflections, and perhaps you have noticed that I have spoken less about winning the heart of a woman and more about shaping the soul of a man. For love, in its truest form, cannot be seized by tricks or techniques. It cannot be summoned with empty words or preserved by constant grasping. Love is a consequence, not a possession. It flows naturally toward the one who has built himself on virtue. If you master yourself, you offer stability. If you live with integrity, you offer trust. If you listen deeply, you offer understanding. If you cultivate calm, you offer safety. If you respect freedom, offer dignity. If you speak with simplicity, you offer truth. If you remain steadfast in hardship, you offer shelter. If you practice gratitude, you offer warmth. If you walk humbly, you offer openness. And if you pursue virtue over fleeting pleasures, you offer permanence. These are the 10 ways we have explored. But they are not tricks to charm another. They are disciplines to transform yourself. Ask yourself then, do you seek to make a woman fall in love with you? Or do you seek to become the kind of man who is worthy of love? The difference is great. The first path is desperate and shallow, concerned with appearances and quick results. The second is enduring, concerned with the health of the soul. The first may win admiration for a season, but it fades when fortune shifts. The second builds love that can survive the passing of beauty, the weight of hardship, and the changes of time. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." How much time do men waste chasing admiration, rehearsing words to impress, or building an image to conceal their weakness? They seek the outward before they have secured the inward. But if you begin with the soul, you need not waste your days in performance. You live simply, honestly, and in doing so, you attract without effort. Remember, too, that love is not owed to you. It is a gift. Not every woman will love you, even if you embody all the virtues we have spoken of. To expect that is to slip again into it and entitlement. What is in your control is your own character. What is not in your control is how another soul responds to you. If she loves you, receive it with gratitude. If she does not, remain steadfast. For the goal was never to be loved by all, but to live so that you may love rightly. You will find, as you walk this path, that even if love from another does not come when you wish, peace will already be yours. The man who governs himself, who lives with gratitude, humility, and virtue, is never truly poor in spirit. He does not wander empty, waiting for another to complete him. He is whole, and from his wholeness he may share love without fear of loss. If fortune allows him to meet a woman who cherishes this, they walk together as companions, not as captor and captive, not as beggar and giver, but as equals in the journey of life. Do not forget that all earthly things are fragile. The woman you love is mortal, as are you. Her beauty will fade as yours will. Her laughter may be silenced by time. Her hand may one day lie from yours. To love in the Stoic way is to love with full awareness of impermanence. You do not cling as if she were eternal, but you cherish her as the gift she is in this moment. This awareness makes your love more precious, not less. For what is fleeting becomes sacred when we learn to honor it fully while it remains. And if love is lost, whether through death, distance, or change, remember that what was given was never wasted. Gratitude must replace bitterness. Seneca told us that grief is natural, but to drown in it is folly. Carry love forward, not as a wound that festers, but as a lesson that enriches your soul. Every affection, every bond, every heart that touches yours becomes part of who you are. Nothing is wasted, unless you choose to discard the wisdom it brought. So what then is the final counsel? Do not set out to make women fall in love with you. Set out to make yourself worthy of love. Seek not to conquer another's heart, but to rule your own. Build your life on virtue, and let love, if it comes, be the companion of your wisdom. If it does not come, you will still have lived rightly. And no man who lives rightly is ever without peace. When you rise each morning, remind yourself, today I will govern my desires. I will speak with honesty. I will treat others with dignity. I will endure what I cannot control. and I will give thanks for all that is before me. Live this, not once, but every day. In time, it will no longer be effort, but nature, and from that nature will flow an aura of steadiness, of trust, of warmth, qualities that draw love more surely than any words rehearsed in a mirror. Love is not a prize you must chase. It is the echo of your character. If you embody wisdom, courage, kindness, and restraint, love will find you when the time is right. And if it is not, you will still possess something greater than admiration. You will possess yourself. Remember, my friend, the greatest victory is not in winning the heart of another, but in conquering your own. If you achieve this, then whether loved or unloved, married or alone, you will walk in peace. And should a woman join her path with yours, she will not fall in love because you persuaded her with tricks, but because your very being has become worthy of love. That, above all, is the Stoic way.